and maintain it in that way.
You know, Martha's just below us here, where we're moored at a sort of base location near Eilat. But a week or so ago, we slipped our moorings and worked our way south to a more distant location. And what we were planning to do was go to a place called the Japanese Garden. But on the way to it, we saw a wonderful expanse of sand. And that's something that Eugenie Clark is particularly fond of.
Yes, I've been studying these wonderful garden eels for more than 15 years. And they are eels that live almost their entire lives in a vertical position in contrast to other eels. There are two species in the Red Sea. This is the larger one. The males get to be over 3 feet long, and they have territories over the sand, which they defend by striking out at each other like snakes.
So they have a critical distance between each other?
Yes, the length of the eel is the radius of that hemisphere. And within it, they usually have a female. They sometimes move closer to mate, but usually they stay apart so that they can pick out the plankton from the current that's being brought to them. They selectively pick out a little fish egg or crustacean larva, crab larva, and when they've had enough to eat, they sometimes take a midday siesta. They always go down into their burrows when danger approaches, or the cameraman, and to sleep at night. Otherwise, they're up feeding.
And that's your Japanese garden. It's got to be.
The plankton is rich here too. The same plankton that feeds the garden eels comes and feeds all the little polyps and invertebrates that live on this Japanese garden. And they live in bright sunlight so that their symbiotic algae inside can grow.
The clear water around here certainly helps that as well.
Yes, it's just packed with stony corals. In fact, Israeli scientists have studied the variety of corals, and within a small area there are more species known than in any other coral reef in the world. Here we have the brain coral that looks like a mammalian brain sitting out there.
I'd use one that size.
And here's the raccoon butterfly fish swimming over this very dense, closely packed arrangement.
Turbonaria. That's one of the few hard corals that have the polyps extended in the daytime. Generally, the fish will come along and pick away at the polyps if they see them.
And here's the fire coral, Millipora. You don't want to bump into this one without your wetsuit on.
No way.
All those little fine glassy hairs you see coming out of the polyps are stinging, and their cells can really give you a terrible rash.
You know, amazingly enough, a lot of fish and invertebrates make their homes in this coral. I would have thought that they would find a more palatable place to hide.
Well, it's safe, I suppose.
It certainly is. It's like tile work.
There's so much competition here. This one really looks like tile. Every inch of space is occupied.
You know, there's another place that we particularly want to show you, and on the face of it, it's perhaps an unlikely starter, and that's the port area of Eilat, where there are container ships and wharves and jetties, all the paraphernalia of shipping commerce. But of course, those man-made structures offer a foothold, and marine organisms are quick to take advantage. Mike was diving there just a couple of days ago.
I think this was one of the most surprising dives I've done since I've been here. Martha loaned me her helmet, and I'll let this one speak for itself.
If the Japanese gardens are the place to go for hard corals, this is the place for soft corals. 20 years ago, the Israelis built this oil rig to transport oil when the Suez Canal was closed. And it's like a vineyard. It's unbelievable. There's every imaginable type of invertebrate going on here. Beautiful soft corals. Every color imaginable. Sea anemones, sponges, tunicates. It's a smorgasbord for invertebrates. A lot of the fish take residence in here. These are actually coils of barbed wire, presumably for a security measure. And gorgonians. Look at these gorgonians over here. Beautiful gorgonians. A Apart from the obvious differences in the look of soft corals such as these guys and the hard corals, there's a fundamental difference. If you look carefully at the structure here, the spicules, these little lines are actually the structure of the soft coral. Otherwise, they move around, they have little polyps just like the hard corals do, but they retract. And you can see after I touch it, that the little spicule is the skeleton, and that's all the skeleton of the soft corals. Some of them take on different forms, like the xenia here, which I think is great. Look at them, they're actually pulsating. That's not the current doing that. The animal itself is actually moving each individual polyp up and down to help with respiration. Wonderful little guys.
World of the invertebrates, sponges, sea anemones, everything else is growing there as well as the soft corals. This one breaks off and actually has the ability to swim and relocate.
You don't want to bump into this. This is the worst of the sea urchins, the venomous sea urchin. Each of those little white bubbles is a poison gland.
Yummy.
20 years ago, this was clean barbed wire. Nothing living on it at all. Obviously, those days are long gone. It's a thriving community here now. All the animals here are supporting each other, feeding each other, and these characters are just waiting around to score the goods when the opportunity arises. They ease down, kind of move ever so slowly, sneaking up on prey, kapow, and they're gone. And by the looks of these two, they do it pretty well. Beautiful lionfish.